I think, a 5-time champion. Very unusual. I agree. Senator, Senate confirmation hearings continue this morning, just a little bit, as a matter of fact, for Elena Kagan. They are underway. She's going to be questioned today as she hopes to be the nation's next Supreme Court justice.
Yes, despite mounted challenges by Republicans. Is this just a charade? Since by all accounts, she'll eventually be confirmed. Years ago, before she was in the hot seat, Kagan herself referred to this process as a charade, a hollow charade. Let's bring in U.S. Senator Ted Kaufman, Delaware's finest. He joins us now. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chanel. Good morning, Mike.
Well, you know, we've talked about this. We talk about Republicans grilling her. They say she doesn't have experience. But I'm going to say this phrase, at the end of the day, Senator, is this just a charade since we essentially know the outcome?
Well, you know, you never know. I mean, it's a process we go through. If part of the process is who the president picks. And if the president picks somebody that's confrontational and the vote's going to be close, then you have a real, you know, you can have a real tough process, and we've seen that in the past with other nominations. But I think Elena Kagan's, you know, very well qualified for the job, and she has the experience and the rest of it. So I think she'll be fine. But I think this is part of the process to go through with it. And Chanel and Mike, just remember one thing: it's always live theater, so you never know what's going to happen for sure.
And it is more than a charade. It's very important who we put on the bench. Of course, we just saw that yesterday. The Supreme Court 5-4 decision on guns. You know, restricting cities' ability to ban guns. What did you think about that, Senator?
Right. Well, it sounded like it was just a follow-on to the earlier decision they made, which essentially guaranteed people to have the right to keep a gun just practically anywhere they wanted to in their home. You know, it's really incredible. This court, as you said, the court's really different. This court found a right that no other court found for over 200 years in this last decision. So hopefully in this decision there are some they are making statements that they still can have laws concerning handguns, but that the real restrictive gun laws, like in Washington and Chicago, will not be affected. But, Mike, you're absolutely right. I mean, the second most important decision I feel as a senator to make, the first is sending troops into harm's way, but the second is Supreme Court, because they serve for life. They'll be there. She'll be there long after I'm gone.
That's why it's so important who we elect as president, too, because that comes in the nomination process.
Well, you just mentioned our troops are alluded to it. You know, there's been so much attention on General Sandy McChrystal's resignation and General David Petraeus taking over. You always tell us the truth or what you think. How much of a hiccup or how big of a hiccup is this in the grand scheme of things?
Well, it could have been a gigantic hiccup. I mean, it could have been a very big hiccup. But fortunately, General Petraeus, who's a true patriot, you know, stepped down. He took literally a step down from where he was before in order to take over in Afghanistan. And if there's somebody in the world who is better qualified than McChrystal to actually run our operation in Afghanistan, it'd be General Petraeus. So I think this is really going to turn out to be a positive thing, because Petraeus, he wrote the book on this. I mean, there's no one that knows more about how to fight a counterinsurgency than Petraeus, and he did so well in Iraq. So this could have been, I mean, when it first came, I thought, oh my goodness, because I had a great deal of respect for Petraeus in terms of running, McChrystal in terms of running the operation, and I didn't see anybody around to replace him. But fortunately, the president talked General Petraeus into taking the job. So this will be an upgrade in terms of, and he's the only person, like I say, I mean, McChrystal was great at actually running the war in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, I don't think he understood modern public relations.
Well, that's probably true. Too many interviews, maybe. And he announced a few hours ago, Senator, you probably saw this, that he's leaving the military, General McChrystal, which is probably too bad. But real quickly here, make an argument in 30 seconds why we should stay in Afghanistan. I mean, my goodness, we changed generals now, and I know he's great, but we don't trust the Karzai government. We think the Taliban has moved on. Or the Al-Qaeda, rather, to Pakistan. Why stay?
Right. Well, at 30 seconds, I can tell you, either 30 seconds or 4 hours. So in 30 seconds, I'll say, just remember one thing, Mike, and that is, this is where the attack on September 11th was made. This is where it is. This is where the people that put it together, these are the people who can put it together again. Our intelligence says that. This is the homeland for them. This is how they organize. This is where the attacks on the homeland come. So that's why we should spend time in Afghanistan tracking these people down and keeping it off balance. I mean, the reason why we haven't had any, we've had 2 singular attacks, but no major group attack like we had on September 11th, is because we have kept Al-Qaeda in Pakistan and Afghanistan totally off balance. So it's very, very important to be there. But you raise a bunch of questions. If we don't think we can win there, if we don't think we can be successful, and I don't mean win, just be successful, then we have to make a serious decision about whether we stay.
Senator Kaufman, you did that in 32 seconds, so I'll give it to you.
That was good.
That was excellent.
Smooth. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, another sports figure in the news. Lenny Dykstra.